born just in time to deploy to the Middle East. I've been saying
that's perfect, because I was worried that I was born too late to deploy to the Middle East. And
Or
I was
maybe
also
even too
worried that
early.
I was born too early.
Maybe I was born too early, maybe I was born too late. Nah, just in time to deploy to the Middle East.
It is truly the perfect time to deploy to the Middle East, if that's something you so want to do, which apparently is something that many people want to do. I'm learning this week.
And you can even deploy now to the regional power.
Exactly.
What Nikki Haley and the neocons have been thirsting about for years.
Look, guys,
we're doing it.
We're breaking generational trauma.
Yeah.
At first, it was go to war in Iraq. Go to war in Iraq. Now, go to war in Iran.
Yeah, you want to go to war in Iraq? You want to go to war in Afghanistan? Let's stop beating around the bush.
Yep.
We're going to we're going to war in the country right in between those two, Iran.
Yep. And nothing could be better.
It's crazy because of course this administration ran on no new wars. Here we are doing a new war, right? The no new wars ticket doing a new war. Who would have thought? And JD Vance was one of those guys who sort of made his name politically, talking about how he was a conservative that was anti-Iraq war. We shouldn't be sending our kids to die in these useless regime change wars. He was a guy who constantly pumped up his credentials being a member of the armed services that was in Iran. He, of course, was a military journalist, not actually fighting, but he was there, and he always talked about how it was a mistake, how his friends died, all this kind of stuff. So you might be thinking, how can he compartmentalize the fact that he is the vice president of the guy launching a new regime change war in Iran, in the Middle East, that has already taken the lives of U.S. soldiers? How could he do this?
How could he do it? How could he do it? You're the regime change guy. Perhaps it's because, guys, we're changing a different regime this time.
Exactly. It's completely different.
Well, yeah, sure. Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever, Libya, those ones didn't work, but this time it's a different one.
Yeah, just one more regime change. One more lane. It'll fix the highway.
One more lane, and we're done with traffic forever. We do not have to worry about it.
So just a couple of days before we launched these strikes on Iran, this is how JD Vance sort of compartmentalized the fact that we're doing another regime change.
Yeah, this was last Thursday. This was 2 days before we launched the strikes, or even a day before, really like a day and a half or something like that. So at this point, he probably knew what was coming.
Yeah. So JD Vance said this, quote, "I do think we have to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. I also think we have to avoid overlearning the lessons of the past. Just because one president screwed up a military conflict doesn't mean we can never engage in military conflict again."
Man, that is
how this regime is justifying the regime change war they've launched in the Middle East again, just like their predecessors.
It's like qualified immunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when a cop does something bad, and if they found out they did something bad in the court, so they find out they're immune for the certain case. If another case comes to the court and it's even slightly different, qualified immunity.
Well, and it is literally just like, one more lane on the highway will fix the traffic problem. One more regime change in the Middle East and we won't ever have to do it again. Like, we've done this song and dance so many times, and it's revealing that he says, one president screwed up military adventures overseas. Nah, dude, it was multiple back to back to back to back. That was the problem.
Yeah, it's really like a decades-long saga that we were a part of that didn't end in anything good and didn't work at all.
Even like the most organized and strategic version of this, which was the first Gulf War under H.W. Bush. We did that against Saddam Hussein, a guy that we funded in the Iran-Iraq war like a few years before that. Like, Saddam was our guy, and then we went to war with him, and now years and years and years later, we're using the same justifications to go to war with Iran. It's stupid.
And with even like less sauce, too.
Yes,
like
so much
nobody's
less.
trying to manufacture consent. Once again, first a tragedy, then as farce, then as farce, then as farce, then as farce. It's all been one massive farce.
Farce upon farce,
all of our bullshit in the Middle East has been a farce, but this time it's just one more time, guys. Just one more lane and we're going to fix it. And I promise.
We're going to get deep into it, man. But JD Vance especially, the guy who's set up to be the presidential candidate for the Republican Party, he just believes in nothing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like he's genuinely an empty suit.
He's a snake. He's 100% a snake. And the Washington Post asked him about this. I got this quote from a Hill article that said, Vance chuckled when the Post asked if he, given the Marine veterans' past criticism of the Iraq War, could have seen himself as part of an administration interested in bringing about regime change. He said that life, quote, has all kind of crazy twists and turns, and said Trump is a, quote, America first president.
Live, laugh, love, baby.
Live, laugh, love. I'm just walking in my 2 feet. I'm just feeling the soil. I'm just grounded in my path, and I have no idea where this life's going to take me. What are we doing, dude? This is millennial derogatory. This is the corniest. This is the most JD Vance thing I think you could have said. And it's crazy because as funny and silly and as horrible and as awful of a guy he is, this stuff has real consequences. This stuff is killing real people, and he gets to write all of this off. He gets to write this massive change in opinion off as just a crazy twist and turn in this path of life, in this journey.
I just imagine like the cabinet assembled and Trump's like, all right, guys, we have to figure out a way to sell this to the the public. They're going to be mad at us. Everybody think of your own spin.
The cabinet's sitting there. Everyone here in this room has said the Iraq War was bad. Everyone here in this room is on video
hiding behind her
numerous times saying the Iraq War is bad, criticizing every president for these regime change wars, these endless wars in the Middle East. How are we going to spin this one?
Yeah, and then JD Vance goes and talks to reporters, and he's like, life is a highway. And I want to ride it all night long. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's shameless. It's shameless how they're trying to spin all this bullshit.
It's fucked up, man. Whatever. Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Today is Monday, March 2nd, and Americans, your country's at war.
Yeah, what a fucking Monday it is, guys. Absolutely insane. Insane to wake up on like a Saturday morning and just war.
Yeah. Bored of peace, more like bored of peace.
Hey, yo.
You know what I mean?
Yo.
We're getting real bored of peace around here. So today, the episode, of course, is going to be all about Iran and the war that the No New Wars president has started in Iran. It's bleak, man. It's really bleak.
What are you supposed to, how are you supposed to engage with any of this? Like, seriously, obviously we're going to do it and we're going to be goofy about it because that's what we do, but like genuinely, like we live in a clown world. Well, everything's a farce.
The Bush administration spent like 12 months, if not like 18 months, manufacturing consent from the public to go to war in Iraq.
Yeah.
We didn't get any of that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like they just sort of like sent ships over there and they were like, well, this is happening now. Like no attempt to convince the public, no campaign of propaganda, just doing this for no reason. And I haven't seen it poll above like 25% support.
No, literally nobody fucking wants this except for like the bloodthirsty demons that are in our Congress.
Or on MSNBC.
Did that as well. Yeah,
exactly. So we're going to be talking all about Iran today, but before we get into it, as always, I will beg and plead with you to become a patron.
Come on, guys. Especially at a time like this. Once again, last week we were telling you, like, guys, you never know, like, they could strike Iran in between the Patreon and regular releases.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they didn't. Thankfully, they took into account the HITO episode release schedule for everybody, not just the people on Patreon. But things are changing literally by the hour.
Yeah.
Who knows if by the time we're done recording, something crazy goes on? Who knows if we make it to the end of the record?
So true. So true. A bunker buster could hit the bunker we're broadcasting from. We got to be careful. Also, definitely important you support independent media nowadays, because I saw CBS was just frothing at the mouth for this war in Iran.
Wow.
Barry Weiss was
Weiss's
to have on a panel of people who all believe the same thing about war in Iran.
Dude, hell yeah. You know, now that Larry Ellison also is going to own CNN with that merger, maybe Barry Weiss can run CBS and CNN.
Well, she's qualified, I guess.
Well, I mean, she's already ran one. Why can't she run the other? She's already been editor-in-chief.
So support small independent media like your boys over at Head in the Office. Every bit helps. And the Patreon community is growing and growing every day.
It's growing and it's good, and you want to be a part of a group of cool people. I don't know what better place to go to.
And people who are not tethered to corporate benefactors, because that does seem to be a bit of a problem.
Oh yeah, 100%
nowadays. So go become a patron, early access, commercial-free episodes, and you'll be supporting us. We really appreciate it. You can also become a subscriber on Substack. It's completely free. You can get some merch at headintheoffice.com. All of our links are down there in the description if you want various ways to support the channel. And lastly, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, and we got none on Apple.
Yeah,
I guess our Apple listeners got deployed.
Fucked up,
Must be, right?
Yeah, I guess they started the draft.
I can't imagine any other reason they wouldn't leave us any reviews. So we'll read 2 of our reviews that we got on Spotify at the top here, and we'll save the rest for the end, just because there's quite a few. This first one, 5 stars on Spotify. Actually, not 5 stars, I should say. This is from Emma, 10 out of 5. Clementines. Shout out to these 2 quirked up white boys, QUWB. I'm glad the acronym is catching on.
Yep.
Who make the news less terrible to keep up with. First time reviewer, but I've been listening since before Ron DeSantis' putting fingers incident.
I missed that time. What a time that was when we got to talk about those things.
I know.
Oh, my.
Yeah, no, now we just get to talk about death, destruction, mayhem, bedlam,
malice,
gore,
violence.
Listening to HITO even helped me break up with my Republican boyfriend.
Dude, hell yeah. Oh, that's the work that we are doing on this podcast. That's where the real work happens, people. We've been railing on liberal women or progressive women that date Republican men for years. Yeah. There have even been reviewers back in that putting fingers era where like, haha, I have a Republican boyfriend, and we've said break up with him.
Yeah.
And I hope that this is because of that.
No, breaking up with your conservative partner. You know, we can make this sort of equal in terms of gender here. It can be a conservative girlfriend, conservative boyfriend, but more often than not, it's a conservative boyfriend. Yeah. Breaking up with them is an act of resistance.
100%.
And in these times, you have to resist any way you can.
You need to do every little thing that you can.
Do not be a do-nothing Democrat.
And let me tell you, doing little is breaking up with your conservative boyfriend or conservative partner, because you're not going to care in a week. Mm-hmm. You're going to do it, and you're going to be like, God, I'm glad to be rid of those shackles.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be, like, you're not a congressional Democrat, do something.
Do something. Come on now. Do something. Do what little you have in your power to make this world a better place.
So shout out to Emma for breaking up with her Republican boyfriend. Anyway, once I'm done with school, I plan to contribute to HITO's buy a house in cash fund for saving me from a future life as a trad wife. I condemn Hamas, political violence, and everyone who doesn't know who is Jeremy and who is Gage.
Big on that. Huge on
that. What a fantastic review.
What a wonderful fucking review. Please, if you broke up with your conservative partner recently, let us know.
Yeah.
Drop it down in the comments.
If we played a role in that, let us know.
Oh, 100% if we played a role in that. If maybe they were listening to the show with you. Maybe they're just like, yeah, sure, put on your fucking stupid bullshit or whatever. And they hear that little bar and they get offended. Let us know. Oh my God.
Dating advice show. Coming when?
Yeah. Like Patreon exclusive. Who knows? Kind of things we could be delving into pretty soon. This next one from Daniel Klein. Dangerously close to Ezra Klein. 5 out of 5 stars for my handsome Midwest white boys. You redeemed yourself. I come bearing a message of hope from the UK as Hannah Spencer was duly elected Green MP for Gorton and Denton, beating both, quote, my Labour Party and the fashion neo-Nazi dweeb reform candidates. She rules, and it's a big deal. My little brother was born in Ann Arbor, so I feel a kinship with Michigan. I love your work and commentary. I condemn violence. Was Wes Streeting, Keir Starmer, Savannah Mahmood, and every other transphobic wanker Labour has to offer.
The Green victories over, I think last week or over the weekend, before the war in Iran started, I saw this news. Absolutely huge. Good to see for sure. We need alternatives to the fucking center. I can't even call them center left, man. The Labour Party is just a center right party. Same with the Democrats.
Didn't the UK come out and say Iran should de-escalate?
Yeah, and then Keir Starmer was like, we're not going to let the U.S. use our bases. We're actually going to let them use our bases.
Folded under zero pressure.
Infinite cucks, dude. Infinite cucks.
We need cucks are back down.
When the United States is like the global villain right now, even more than we were before. Yeah. Like we need literally anybody to stand up and be like, no. Especially our allies.
And then everyone just said, maybe this is okay. And I guess that's kind of like a theme for getting into this Iran news coverage, this Iran war coverage, is that seemingly everyone who's in a position of power to do something, with very little exceptions, goes out there and is like, okay.
Yeah, no,
we're doing this.
It's hard to reject the sort of uniparty narratives nowadays. Like, I don't think it's exactly right. I don't love that narrative for like explaining the actions of the Democrats. But when we see them essentially agree on Iran policy and the execution, or I should say, the assassination of the Ayatollah and the continuing strikes, like it's not great.
And once again, like in real time, they're doing the thing where they just adopt conservative framing, but don't go all the way with the solution. They just walk right up to it. It's the same thing that happened with immigration. It's the same thing that happens with like transphobia and trans rights. And we are watching it happen in real time with all of the statements that my Democrats are putting out that are condemning what's going on. It's ridiculous.
No, it's not great. So over the weekend, as you've all no doubt seen by now, the U.S. initiated a totally unprovoked and illegal war against Iran and with Israel at its side. Of course, I add the word illegal in there. Not that it matters.
Yeah, true.
Because legality doesn't matter anymore, but it does. I think, maybe it's a little important to remind folks that like, yeah, he can't do this.
There are brief moments throughout this administration where it's like you get so much of the, he can't do that. That's silly. And then the law comes back in a small way. And the law happens, or the Supreme Court does one decision saying no more tariffs in that way. And you're reminded that the law matters, only to almost immediately every single time be hit with a world-shattering event that reminds you that indeed the law does not matter.
Yeah, once again, Congress has the power to declare war, and Trump in his sort of like, new war announcement that he dropped Saturday morning called it a war. He said this is a war,
which is just awesome.
Right after he said, soldiers might die, but that's okay.
There's some part of that you gotta respect too, and it goes to the whole thing of like the reasons why dudes love Trump. And it's because he says it like it is. He's not covering this announcement up in like plithy legalese or dumb language so that he can get ahead of the thing. He's just going out and saying it's war. Like again, it's shameless and it's awful and it's despicable, but you gotta like acknowledge that.
Yeah, no, he explicitly says it's war, which is like that should be like evidence in a future like trial against the administration.
Yeah, like
right?
There's a reason you don't usually do that.
Yeah,
there's a reasons why you use your UMF and you don't fully start a war and you just do a conflict.
Well, and I've seen a lot of like right wing commentators trying to say like, this will be like a very short conflict. It's not actually going to be a full blown war. Like this isn't another war in the Middle East. It's not like Iraq. But Trump literally called it a war.
Yeah,
and they won't commit to like a deadline to when this is going to be done. Pete Hegseth was asked like, is it actually going to be 4 weeks, or are you guys going to cut off after 4 weeks? Like, how long is this going to take? And he was like, that's a gotcha question.
Insane.
What do you mean that's a gotcha question?
I think it's a genuine question. You're doing a war,
like,
dog.
How long are we going to be at war with this country? The president called it a war. How long are we going to be at war? I don't know.
You know, you liberals are always trying to come at our warriors. Our warriors are out there doing great things in Iran. Yeah. Our warriors are out there seizing complete control over the sky, man. It's crazy. And it's just like, it's so funny to see him come out and in that 8-minute announcement, call it a war, and then say, some of you are going to die. Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah. Fellas die every day, B.
Lord Farquaad, man, it's crazy. Just to, almost as if to set the tone, the opening salvo of this new Middle East war hit a fucking school and killed 100 girls.
So that's nice.
Again, tone setter. Right? Absolute tone setter. And I saw a lot of like counter propaganda, people trying to say, because it was announced by the Iranian regime, like they just hit a school, a bunch of children died. We didn't know the death toll at first, but now it's like 100 plus or something like that. And a lot of people were saying, oh, that's just the Iranian media saying that to get you to like be angry at the US troops. It wasn't actually them. It was a misfired missile from Iran or something like that.
Yeah, that's the big one that I saw, is it was a misfired missile from Iran.
Dear listener, if this strike was a surprise to Iran, and we know they didn't respond for several hours later, how would they strike themselves? It was a part of the opening attack from Israel, I believe.
It was like one of the first bits of news to come out.
Like we know, like it's obvious what happened
here. And it's also just like even if it's not true, right? Even if I'm going to be the most charitable that I could be, the most charitable guy possible to a regime, the Trump regime, that absolutely does not deserve it, right? If this was a misfired Iranian missile and something happened and it landed into the school, doesn't it tell you something that a lot of people believe that this could have been us in Israel?
Well, it's classic Israel.
It's classic Israel. That's the first thing I thought. Yeah. Israel, famous for hitting like every single school in Gaza a trillion times. They've made a reputation for themselves for hitting a school. I'm surprised I didn't see a fucking hospital in there too.
Well, we know Israel likes to hit schools. It's a thing that they do repeatedly, and they often hide behind the like human shields argument. This time they didn't even make that.
I saw people try to make that
really?
Argument. I did, and I spend too much time on the cesspool, the bot-filled cesspool that is Twitter, but I did see people in earnest go out there and be like, oh, the IRGC's got shit down there. Actually, the IRGC took over that school. Which is it, buddy? Did we hit the school because the IRGC took it over Hamas style? Yeah. Or did Iran misfire a missile? Like, nothing makes sense, nothing works, everything, nobody knows anything, but everyone wants to reflexively defend the regime and the awful actions because who fucking knows?
I think I saw a drop site confirm that across the street was an IRGC compound of some kind, or like a weapons bay or something like that, and that was the target that the U.S. and Israel were going for. Then they just ended up hitting the school across the street.
That's still awful and horrible.
Well, it's a war crime. Yeah, you can't
do that. Yeah. Even if you wanted to use they're hiding it in civilian infrastructure. What, like D.C., there's apartment buildings around everything.
Mossad is in Tel Aviv.
The Mossad
headquarters is in Tel Aviv. Like, I'm sorry, but like, what are we talking about?
Where else are you supposed to put it?
We would never justify Iran hitting civilians. Like, everyone in the media will immediately condemn that, and I think that's valid. But when Israel and the United States do it, we look at it and we either deflect and say, no, that was actually Iran, or we come up with an infinite number of justifications to say, like, oh yeah, killing girls is fine.
Or sometimes it's just, this shit happens.
Like, a recurring theme of this episode will be that, sure, what Iran does many times is fund terrorism. We do the same thing.
Yeah.
This is terrorism, right?
Yes.
We killed civilians for the purposes of some kind of political gain. Maybe it's to gain a bigger foothold in negotiations, even though Iran was close to agreeing on negotiations for nuclear weapons anyway, or maybe it's some other kind of pressure tactic. But what we did was slaughter a bunch of civilians for political purposes. That's terrorism.
Yeah. Whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all doing something, and it's explicitly like fucking for the purpose of doing whatever. Like, it's explicitly to get people to be mad at the regime. It's explicitly to go out there and like inflict damage or inflict chaos or do whatever you want to try and weaken the conditions inside Iran so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, and for some reasons we'll talk about in a moment, that won't work.
No,
it just will not work. So as of right now, and keep in mind, a lot can change by the time you're listening to this, even if you're a Patreon listener. It's war, things rapidly change. But as of right now, the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. That has been confirmed at this point. So the supreme leader, who had been there for 30-something years, was like 87 years old. He has been killed in this war, and I believe that was one of the first strikes that they did on his office building.
Yeah.
So like, they were tracking him. They knew where he was. They intentionally took him out. As of right now 3 to 4 soldiers.
I think it's 4. Before we started recording, I saw like headlines that like a 4th soldier had died. But honestly, by the time this comes out for the general audience, it's probably going to be more.
And I wouldn't even trust them to report soldier death tolls accurately.
100%.
Because they know how like every body will make it look worse and worse for the United States, and it will start to look more and more like Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And that's when things are going to get bad for the Trump regime. But as of right now, we have, it seems like 4 confirmed U.S. soldiers killed as a result of these operations in Iran.
Which Trump is just like cool with, by the way.
Low-key happy about.
Low-key geeks, low-key excited because that's war. Like he started off this whole thing saying U.S. soldiers will die. That is what Trump told us. And then after he's doing his announcement that 3 soldiers had died, he's like, yeah, this kind of thing just happens in war. There's going to be more.
Is this not like Glory to the Martyrs type shit?
No, yeah.
Like Al-Qaeda type shit? I don't know, man. It seems similar. Iran has retaliated by striking several American bases around Iran, like outside of the country, in neighboring countries like the UAE and Bahrain that host military bases. A lot of people tried to immediately spin, I think even the New York Times came out, like they covered the strikes that Israel and the United States conducted in like the opening salvo of this war. And then Iran launched a bunch of counter strikes, both at Israel's mainland, but also at a bunch of U.S. bases that surround the country of Iran. And the New York Times, I think it was covering it like, oh, Iran lashes out at neighbors. And it's like, dog, they host American base. It's literally doing the thing where it's like, why is your country so close to our military bases?
Yeah, but they're also they also like they hit the Dubai airport. Yeah, they hit buildings around the Burj. Like they have hit some bullshit. Like
of course.
They've been hitting a lot of bullshit, yeah.
But this is entirely expected.
The entire framing that they just like did it, and it's like, I don't know, man. It sucks to see this whole thing, and it sucks to see everybody being like Israel's so-called preemptive strike before this all happened.
Yeah.
When the war originally launched, and like Israel launches a preemptive self-defensive strike, and it's like, man.
Also known as unprovoked.
I get that they're trying to do the journalism thing. They're trying to do the Israel says this is a preemptive thing in self-defense, but it's just like, it's so obvious. Like you shouldn't be able to say that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to go out here and say, in self-defense, we're killing you first.
Well, it's because I think a lot of people view an offensive war as just illegitimate. Like there's no justifiable offensive war nowadays, like there used to be in the past, I guess, or offensive wars just used to be a lot more common. So now you have to cloak it in this language of being for defensive purposes, right? Like we used to call it the Department of Defense, even though it was often the Department of Offense.
I guess now we're not doing that anymore, really.
But yeah, no, this they have to frame it as though like, oh, they were 30 seconds away from a nuclear bomb, or they were just about to strike.
They were cocking back the gun that would kill everyone in the country.
Which of course was not true, and it was just completely unprovoked. So far, again, as of March 2nd, the death toll in Iran is something like 200 plus, and deaths range from 1 to 10 in surrounding countries like Israel and the UAE and so on. Lots of injuries so far. Again, this number will continue to climb and climb and climb. By the time you're listening to this, who knows what the official tally is. But I don't want to go too far into the sort of on the ground developments because, again, everything could change the moment we drop this. And I don't want to, get too in the weeds of like the literal numbers of what's happening as we speak, but we should contend with some of the broader arguments.
Yeah, for sure. Well, of course. I mean, we just started a war.
Yeah, we just started a war. And even though they aren't really trying very hard to manufacture consent, they are still advancing some kind of arguments. And especially like their orbiters in the media are advancing some arguments. And I think we should contend with them because they're pretty paper thin.
Okay.
At this rate. So as we said, the president dropped a video last Saturday explaining what was happening, arguing a couple of things. In the first primary argument, which has been repeated constantly, is that Iran was way too close to a nuclear weapon and we had to stop them. If we didn't stop them, then the entire world was going to end or whatever.
And we just know that's bullshit. Like we just know all of this is bullshit. What happened last year to when we completely destroyed all of their nuclear capabilities, total and complete victory? And I mean, journalists like Caitlin Collins are asking these questions. They're just hand waving it away.
Yep.
Oh, they rebuilt it. They got everything back. Oh no, we just have to.
Well, then we didn't obliterate
the whole thing. Exactly.
So then it was just a fuck up and a waste of time.
And if they could completely rebuild this entire nuclear program that we obliterated, by the way, in less than a year, then what did it matter to obliterate it? Like, it's just everything that they go out here and say is naked.
Yeah, it also doesn't really, you can't really reconcile that with the fact that Trump literally said, yeah, we need to do regime change.
Yep.
Like he said those words, like we're doing regime change. So first of all, as we've already sort of said, negotiations were literally happening the day before the U.S. and Israel hit the fucking children's school. And Oman, the mediator, the nation sort of mediating those talks, said Iran, again, the day before this war kicked off, said Iran was getting close to an agreement on a nuclear deal.
Yeah.
So like, what are we talking about?
Like you can't even go out here and do the diplomacy failed kind of thing.
No.
And it's like they tried, I guess they tried to say that the regime was hardlining, but you're actively doing negotiations. You had another negotiation date like set. You were actively just like engaging in the process of diplomacy, albeit not for real.
Yeah.
Just to do this, just to try, but it's just it's farcical, man.
It was all a farce.
It's all a farce.
It was all a farce. And on top of that, if Iran getting a nuclear weapon, of course, was such a threat, then it's not clear why Trump backed out of the deal in 2018 that Obama established that specifically was designed to avoid Iran getting a weapon that they were in full compliance with, even after Trump backed out of the deal. So, like, again, the point of this is not to prevent a nuke from falling into the hands of Iran. It's to do a regime change war. Yep. And as we'll talk about, that fucking sucks big time.
That does suck big time, man. But maybe we're overlearning history here. I don't know.
And I also, shout out JD Vance. I do want to say another theme on top of what we mentioned earlier is the right wing and even some liberals seem to believe that countries like Iran are just full of these unthinking, inherently evil monsters that would use a nuke as soon as they get it to like end the world or whatever. And I think that's just a caricature.
Oh, 100%. Dude. It's just the evil Muslim wants to go out here and do jihad on the rest of the world. The evil Muslim wants to martyr themselves and everyone else around them so they can do whatever racist thing that they're projecting onto them.
Like, I'm not saying that Iran is a paragon of like civil virtue or anything like that, or that they're a country with like a good human rights track record or something like that. But it is a country of 90 million people that has existed in some way for like thousands of years.
Whether or not it's like this like paragon for human rights, and whether or not you can speak on like cultural, societal, like values or whatever that's going there. There's a difference between like the regime, the Ayatollah, and the Iranian government that's enforcing these strict, whatever you want to call it, the strict oppression onto the people of Iran, and the 90-something million other people that just so happen to live in the country. Like, there's a huge difference between those guys that are actively doing the evil, actually manufacturing whatever fucking awful shit is going on over there, and the people that are just trying to live their lives that will get caught up in this war, like 100 schoolgirls that get killed in elementary school.
Yeah,
like,
and as we've been saying for a very long time, it is specifically U.S. involvement in the Middle East that creates the conditions for terror cells and terrorist organizations. And in fact, I was going to bring this up later, but I feel it fits right here. The Iranian government, the current Iranian regime, the IRGC, was specifically created in for the Islamic Revolution of 1979 as a bulwark against Western aggression. The legitimizing sort of function of this regime, or the raison d'etre for their existence, is to be a bulwark against U.S. aggression. And by waging a regime change war on them, you just prove them right. And you solidify support behind them, because the entire, like, what they sell to their population, the reason that they're so brutal, the reason that they have to crack down on dissent, they say, is because they have to be wary of U.S. involvement. And it is true that the U.S. has been, for decades at this point, funding different dissident groups inside Iran, and then they crack down on those groups and people die and bad things happen. But when you launch a war of aggression, an unprovoked war of aggression, when negotiations were going on, you just prove their legitimizing function to be right.
Of course.
The entire reason for their existence is to be a bulwark against you, and you've proved that their existence is necessary.
It's so much easier to like gain the consent of the governed when you go out there and you have some existential threat, some enemy that you can appoint and that you can point to that's going to make your life worse and make your life awful. Like you said, for the IRGC, it's the Americans, and when we do this, it just emboldens them. And we see it here in our own country too, right? Like, obviously Republicans have gained power by pointing out that by lying and saying that immigrants are an existential threat to this country. They're poisoning the blood in our soil. They're poisoning the blood of the nation, like Trump said at the RNC. They're doing all this. What we're doing to Iran right now is like if every immigrant who was lined up at the border to come over here to have a good life, a better life, got across the border and was like, I'm going to kill a white woman. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds absurd, and it is absurd because you're legitimizing these narratives that allow these repressive regimes to maintain, and keep their power. It's fucked up.
And like the IRGC, like the Islamic Revolution very much happened in response to what we did 25 years prior to that. When we overthrew their democratically elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, and installed a literal monarch. They responded by doing the Islamic Revolution. It was like a group of different religious leaders and leftists and some communists and stuff like that. They came together, waged the Islamic Revolution, and dedicated themselves to building a nation that could oppose Western aggression. That was the primary function of the IRGC, and that is what they've been doing for decades. It explains all of their actions in terms of funding proxies and being against Israel and all this kinds of stuff. And yeah, they're a bad regime, but by waging an unprovoked war on them, again, you just prove their narrative right.
And then so many Republicans get out here and be like, oh, why are you holding water for the Iranian regime when they shout death to America? Why do you think they do that?
Well, the phrase death to America came in direct opposition opposition to the coup that we did in 1953.
Exactly. Like, there's a reason why they go out there and yell death to America.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they can use death to America as a rallying cry. And it's because we do things to them that are contemptible. Just like this unjustifiable, illegal war. It is entirely condemnable.
Yeah.
It is entirely the kind of thing that makes people think, yeah, death to America. And that's fucked up, right? And even if we get less heady about it, even if we go away with the historical realities, even if we overlearn history don't overlearn history like JD Vance would accuse, if I send my daughter to school one day and then she doesn't come home because she got killed by a missile with 100 of her other classmates, I'm going to want to do terror too. I am going to want to lash out at whoever did that. Yeah. And that is a profoundly human reaction to conditions that are on the ground. That is an immediate reaction to material conditions of your life.
Yeah.
That's why they shout death to America. That's why it's bad. Let's stop doing those kind of things and instead just do the regular, banal things that make everybody's lives worse. Like bring Western capital in and do diplomacy and then make people's lives awful that way.
Just
I don't know.
Anything but this, man.
Like, it's just global capitalism is infinitely preferable to whatever kind of imperialism Trump wants to engage in here.
Yeah, and I do want to jump ahead a little bit because I feel like this sort of fits in here, this idea that what Trump is doing is going to free Iranians from an oppressive regime and somehow liberate the people.
Yeah.
If the Trump administration was actually interested in freeing the Iranian regime, if the American empire was interested in creating a free Iran, then I've yet to see someone explain why we've done nothing about the fact that we waged a coup in 1953. Mm-hmm. The one time that Iran was heading in the direction of democracy, we ousted their leader because he threatened the oil interests of Britons and Americans.
Yeah.
We don't care about democracy in Iran. We've never cared about democracy in any country. We fucking support Saudi Arabia right now. We are allies with Saudi Arabia and the UAE. They have monstrous human rights abuses under their belt. It's fucking ridiculous.
They killed Jamal Khashoggi, and Trump said that's bad for business if we do anything about it. Literally, when confronted by the news, he invites the guy who killed Jamal Khashoggi, MBS, into the White House. And a journalist asks about it, and he's like, you're a nasty woman for doing that.
The United States, the foreign policy of the United States has never cared once about if the countries we ally with are democracies or if the countries we wage war against are authoritarian regimes that have people that need to be liberated. We have never once cared about that. And despite how badly they don't want this to look like Iraq or the other wars of the Middle East, they are literally just doing the Dick Cheney thing of, I think we're going to be greeted as liberators.
Yeah.
They said the same shit after we got Saddam, and Iraq was made no better by our involvement in it. Mm-hmm. It's just this idea that we're going to help Iranians by killing them is absurd.
Yeah, none of this is going to help them. This just creates instability within the country.
Yeah,
this just makes everything awful, and it kind of looks like a situation where I don't know if Trump bit off more than he can chew. Again, this just started. We don't know how long this is going to go. By the likes of it, it looks like it could go on forever. It looks like it could be a long thing. We could be in a long entanglement since Pete Hegseth doesn't even want to commit to only being in there for a month, right? All of this is bad, and it seems to me like Trump made a statement. He's like, okay, we killed the guy. Now Iranian people rise up.
Yeah.
He wants them to start a civil war and then do the regime change for him. Mm-hmm. Because when we look at a situation like this, when we look at the regime change that Trump is posing, it is the easiest thing in the world to go out there and kill somebody, especially if you are the United States of America with a military that we all pay for way more than we should. That's bigger than the next 7 combined. Yeah. When we have a U.S. Navy that's got the second largest Air Force in the world, the first largest being our Air Force, and the third largest being Russia, and then the fourth largest being our Marines or our Army. Yeah. We got 4 of the top 5 Air Forces or 3 of the top 5 Air Forces in the world. When we have a military that's big, it is trivial for the United States to go over and kill somebody. Yeah. What is hard is doing the actual work of regime change, doing the actual hard work of governance. It's what comes after killing the guy. Yeah. Because when you kill somebody, you create the instability. When you kill somebody, you leave a power vacuum that other people can take control of. And if you don't actually have a plan, if you don't actually have a way to go in there, gain the consent of the governed, do good governance, actually maintain a government that people believe in, it's never going to work. And that's why regime change doesn't work, because you are never going to be able to gain the consent of the governed by going in, killing somebody, saying, okay, this guy is it now. Without democracy, people will never believe in some other who came in, killed their guy, and told them, this guy's going to lead you now. Isn't this what's best for you? Yeah. Nobody wants to be told what to do just on a human level. And when it's a country that people are already polarized against telling them what to do, you're not going to stop the polarization. No. Because I understand, and I'm empathetic, and I empathize with the Iranian diaspora that's here saying that, like, oh, but the regime was really bad. The regime had to go. Yeah, the Ayatollah sucked.
And the regime's going to get worse.
But exactly, the regime is going to get worse because we don't give a shit. Yeah. We do not care. The only reason Trump was talking about the protesters and the protesters that were slaughtered by the Iranian regime is because he used it as a wedge for his own political ambitions and his own political goals. Regime change in Iran is bad because it's another foreign war that we should not be involved with, and it's not something that is going to ever end good. Even back when we like had plans for regime change, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Because you can't gain the consent of the people you want to be governing. People are always going to be upset about something like this that's so violent.
Yeah, famously, we spent 20 years in Afghanistan to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. It's just we don't have a track record of doing this stuff because it's incredibly hard, if not impossible, to come in from the outside and say you're going to be governed by a new force and I'm doing this because I love democracy while you steal their natural resources.
You go in and say, I love democracy. Here's your king.
Yes.
Here's a fucking king.
And that's what we did in Iran, right? Yes. Like we should take stock of all this because it's very important. And by the way, if the U.S. was actually interested in ousting groups like Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, then we would actually work with the Iranian regime because a lot of people like to paint these groups with a broad brush, but Iran does not fuck with Al-Qaeda or with the Taliban, by the way. It's very complicated, of course. There's many nuances, but like there's a lot to agree with Iran if we actually wanted to like make the Middle East a better place. We're not interested in that, of course, but like, so 1953, we overthrow the democratically elected leader of Iran in Mohammad Mossadegh. He got overthrown because he had this bold idea, maybe even offensive idea to Westerners that maybe Iranian oil should benefit Iranians.
Yes.
Too controversial,
guys. We can't let that happen.
The CIA and MI6 come in. The CIA and MI6 come in. They foment a coup against Mohammad Mossadegh. He gets kicked out of power. We install the Shah, a literal monarch. He cracks down on dissent like crazy over the course of 25 years. The Islamic Revolution happens in direct opposition to our involvement in the Middle East and in Iranian affairs prior to that. And that's where like the death to America phrase comes from, right? The year after that, Iraq launches a war against Iran because they're worried that this whole that the revolution will catch fire in their country as well. We back Saddam Hussein, the same Saddam Hussein who we waged the Gulf War against and then got later under George W. Bush, of course. Yeah. So that happens again. We're doing a number of things to meddle in Iranian affairs. At some point in there, we fund the Mujahideen, the group eventually that spins off and becomes Al Qaeda. We do a number of other things in the Middle East, constantly bombing the Middle East once every couple of years. And then we get to this place where Iran is funding proxies around the region, and we tell them that it's their fault that they are weary of Western aggression.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we not? And of course, this isn't to say that like Iran is not at fault, that Iran's never done anything bad. Of course they have. They have agency in this situation as well. But when we look at a region that is torn apart because of our intervention in it, I think it's hard to say that it's not our fault entirely and that another regime change war is just going to fuck it up further. That's the situation, man.
And it's just, once again, regime change just doesn't fucking work.
It doesn't work.
You cannot go in and violently overthrow another country's leader and expect everyone in that country to like fuck with you. Even if there are people genuinely cheering in the streets for what Trump did, like, oh my God, President Trump, thank you, come save us. We are not even a week out from like when this initially happened. As of the time of this recording, we're 2 days away from these strikes from the Ayatollah being killed. What about what happens over the coming years? Right now, the IRGC is bragging about how decentralized their command structure is so that they can continue strikes no matter what military leadership is wiped out. What happens? We haven't even changed the regime. We just killed one guy, one figurehead. Again, the easiest part of all of this. And it's still a relatively easy part to go in, to bomb Iran into submission. But what would be hard is actually governing the region, which is not something we want to do. As funny as it is, the jokes being like, oh, somebody should come regime change us because Lord knows I don't like Donald Trump. Lord knows I would like Trump and the Republicans and whatever, and even the moderate Democrats and the establishment Democrats to be out of power. Not by violent means, of course. I condemn political violence, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't even insinuate that on the show.
Of course.
But just if someone regime changed us peacefully, and instead, if you know what I mean?
If someone conducted an election.
If someone conducted an election where there was total foreign interference, if Russia came in and foreignly interfered in our election to get some Russian elected or whatever, I would be like, no, I want democracy. I want to be able to pick my own leader. And you can't like impose that by violence on another country. It does not fundamentally work, and it hasn't fundamentally worked every single other time we've tried it.
You can't bomb a country into liberal democracy, and so often that's not even what they're trying to do.
Exactly. That's even if they want liberal democracy.
We're like operating on the pretense that they actually care about things like human rights, civil freedoms, political liberties, and stuff. They don't. Like, that's not the intent.
We're being charitable to people who don't deserve it.
Like, Trump would install the Shah again if he could. Again, he
might still.
He might still. He's buddies with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a literal hereditary monarchy. We don't give a shit about liberal democracy. U.S. foreign policy has never been about promoting liberal democracy. What we care about is compliance with the U.S. Capitol. And that is the goal here, and regional dominance. And this project specifically is motivated very troublingly, I think, by this notion of a greater Israel. Yeah. I think that's probably like half of the calculus behind this.
I wouldn't even be surprised. Like, honestly, like, I would not be surprised if so much if this was Israel being like, yeah, we're going to go do this, right?
Yeah.
And Trump was like, oh, sure, I guess.
Yeah, well, because if Israel controls like all of, if not most of the Middle East, then oil flows are easy peasy, baby. We never got to worry about that again. But as long as countries that, like, I don't know, want their people to eat have a say, then we're not going to be able to make as much money as I can't get fucking rich.
Yeah, I can't get filthy fucking rich off this. But it's so crazy because there was the alternative where other people were getting filthy fucking rich. Not any of us, not any of you or me listening to this podcast, just executives were getting filthy fucking rich under Obama's Iran deal, under the JCPOA.
Oh, yeah.
The whole point of the JCPOA was establishing that, like, opening up Iran to foreign investment in exchange for them not, like, building a nuke. Yeah. And then companies, European companies, I think maybe even American companies, but mostly European probably. It's been a while since I read up on the JCPO. Went over, they invested in Iran, and then they had to pull out.
Yeah.
And they were doing this thing, and they were westernizing the place, and blah, blah, blah. And as horrible and blah, blah, blah as all that shit is, as the expansive global capital, higher level critique than what we can engage with here, unfortunately. Whatever's going on with that, we just can't do that because now these guys are just like, I'm just going to fucking kill you. Yeah. And it's going to make money for, like, me and people who invest in Raytheon and Raytheon executives and Lockheed Martin executives and Israel.
Yeah, big on Israel. The only way to maintain regional peace or just peace between two different countries that have had differences for a long time is economic interdependence. Yeah. If you make my pharmaceuticals and I make your computer components, we are disincentivized to go into war with each other, even if we fucking hate each other, because I need you for something.
Yes.
And once we encourage that kind of economic interdependence, like we have with China, for example, we don't go to war with them.
Well, we're constantly saber rattling with China. There's constantly a standoff in the South China Sea between them and, like, other people.
Yeah, but we don't go to war.
But everybody relies on China for supply chain bullshit. So we are not going to go to war with China anytime soon.
Yeah.
And it'd be very bad if we went to war with China. It'd be bad for us. It'd be bad for China because we are so economically interdependent on each other.
The first president to go to war with China would instantly be the most unpopular president in U.S. history because nobody gets their trinkets.
All your trinkets are going up $1 billion.
All your trinkets fucking disappear. Not to even mention, like, food.
Not to mention food and, like, lives lost.
Yes.
But the most important things to Americans are their trinkets.
Yeah.
And you're going to take those away from me? Oh my God.
Exactly. Another thing, and this is a very big argument that I've seen from the neocon types and even, like, some liberals that are, like, low-key in favor of this war.
Most of them.
A lot of my Democrats. A lot of people have been justifying this war in Iran by saying that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terror in the world. And that's been the line for many, many years. First of all, I would say, yeah, Iran does sponsor terrorist organizations, of course. That's just the truth. But the biggest state sponsor of terror is the United States.
There you go.
In 2025, Israel attacked something like 6 different countries, of course, using our money.
Yeah.
6 different nations, maybe 5 different nations if you count Gaza on top of that.
They did a genocide.
Yeah, they literally did a genocide.
Israel did a genocide bankrolled by us.
And again, the opening salvo of this war was hitting a girls' school. That's an act of terror.
Yeah.
Like, the United States is the terrorist in the region.
That shit
We're the
sucks.
ones doing terrorism
and
on
it's also
countries.
like, don't you fix the proxy issue by, like, doing diplomacy as well?
Yeah.
As much as you can do a nuclear deal, you can do a ballistic missile deal. I do kind of believe, maybe naively, that you could also do a deal that gets them to stop funding proxies, because it's not a fucking secret that Iran funds proxies. It's not a fucking secret that Iran funds Hamas, funds Hezbollah, funds whatever other organization that's going around all over the place doing whatever, like, act of terror that people want to hyper focus on. Why can't we just say, hey guys, don't do that? Why can't we fix this with diplomacy like we fix everything else?
Well, and they specifically fund groups like the Houthis and Hezbollah Hezbollah because we do shit like this.
Yeah.
That's why they fund these
also
groups.
explicitly fund these groups so that they don't have to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd admit it if you even asked them. Literally everyone in the world knows Iran funds proxies. Iran funds proxy terror organizations. Iran, stop doing that or we will close off Western investment in your country.
And we can condemn them funding proxies, right? Like I condemn Hamas.
I condemn Hamas all the time.
As we've said so many times. But first of all, like the U.S. has a long and sordid history of funding death squads in Latin America.
Oh, we fund hella proxies.
Right-wing paramilitary organizations that end up doing indiscriminate violence against our quote-unquote adversaries. Read A Village of Innocent People. Yeah. This kind of shit has been a part of U.S. history for a long time. But on top of that, like funding proxies just as a practice that large, powerful nations engage in is not new. It's one of the oldest strategies ever.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, Iran does it, we do it, but it's hardly a reason to go to war with the country that's funding the proxy. The whole point of a proxy war is that it's a proxy. That's not a reason to go to war. Like, for example, the USSR funded the North Vietnamese during our Vietnam War. We never went to a hot war with the Soviet Union. Or similarly, right, we funded proxies in Honduras and Nicaragua, right-wing death squads, against the Sandinistas during the Iran-Contra affair. And Nicaragua never invaded the United States.
Yeah.
You fight the proxy. Yeah. It's not a reason to go to war because the deeper issue is the differences that you have that are, of course, solved by diplomacy, not by war.
For all of this whole like, negotiations broke down, so I have to invade Iran. There were plenty of things we could have done that aren't negotiations and aren't literally killing people in the streets. Yeah. There's sanctions, which admittedly just can kill people longer, but there's sanctions, much more acceptable, much more regular thing. You can embargo the country. You have a million economic levers that you can still press that would put pressure on Iran to agree to whatever nuclear deal, ballistic missile deal, whatever deal that you wanted to do. But we skipped all that. I firmly believe that we lied about everything that was going on in negotiations.
Yes.
Jared Kushner was just going to get rich. Fucking call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's all he's ever done with the region is go and make connections and get rich. Jared Kushner went into these negotiations to get rich, do whatever, pretend to negotiate while we built up an armed force that we could use to stage a war against Iran. And that's literally what happened.
Yeah. Jared Kushner went over to Geneva, had a couple of good meals.
Yup.
And then he fucking left.
On my dime.
On our dime.
On my dime.
On our dime, man. Yeah, no, it just fucking sucks. Those are the major like justifications I've seen for this war with Iran, and they're all a bunch of nonsense.
It's all nonsense and it all sucks. But I think most people know that, right? Like I think most Americans look at this and they're like, "What the fuck are we doing?"
Yeah,
because everybody a year ago, was out here pretending that they were against Afghanistan. Everybody in the country said, "Yeah, I was always against that war." Every representative that voted for war was like, "Yeah, it was a bad idea."
Dude, fucking Stephen Miller was like, "If you vote for Kamala Harris, you're going to get a war in the Middle East, but Trump is the peace candidate."
Yes.
Like they ran on being anti-war. JD Vance ran on being anti-Iraq war.
No matter what you do, no matter which road you take, it's war in the Middle East. Inside you, there are two wolves and they both want war in the Middle East, man. Yeah. There's no choice when it comes to this issue.
I feel like when it comes to negotiations, like obviously the negotiators claimed to have asked Iran to stop the funding proxies around the region. They say that that's something that they put on their list of demands, and Iran said that they weren't open to that, but they were open to talks about the nuclear stuff. Okay, fine. But I feel like we could probably get anything out of Iran if we were like, all right, we're not going to support Israel anymore. Iran would probably give us anything, dude. Iran would probably become a thriving liberal democracy.
No, literally. They'd probably do their own regime change. Yeah. They'd probably have an election.
Yeah, because like Israel is just seen as the U.S. attack dog in the region, and like that's what they are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's not really a secret.
Yeah,
and Israel's been pushing for this notion of a greater Israel, man, and that will result if we go down that path, which I think is sort of the long-term plan, or at least the strategy of the Israelis. Like, man, that's going to be hundreds of millions of deaths.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like that's just
conquering.
It's conquering, yeah.
It's old school
Hitler
evil,
shit.
Awful, just whatever, man. And it all fucking sucks. And so much of this just sucks. And Israel sucks and we suck. And if everything sucks. But I do want to take a moment to point out one of my favorite spins on this entire thing. This one was posted on the House Foreign Affairs Committee Twitter account. Because once again, everything is done on Twitter. These people just communicate on Twitter. Everything's a post. This administration's filled with fucking posters. And this was a graphic of Trump. And it said, because everyone's criticizing him for the forever war bullshit. Yeah. Trump was out there in 2012 criticizing Obama for forever wars. JD Vance was criticizing people for forever wars.
Dude, Trump made his name game in the 2016 debates by calling out Jeb Bush.
Exactly.
In the Forever Wars, he was like, Iraq was a bad idea. We shouldn't have done it.
Exactly. So, rightfully, people are looking at Trump and being like, what the fuck are you doing? Getting us involved in another war in the Middle East. The House Foreign Affairs Committee posted this on Twitter. It's a graphic of Trump, and it says, President Trump is ending the forever war that Iran has waged against America for the last 47 years. That is an insane spin.
Yeah.
You're in a fucking blender, dude. I could not come up with that in the wickedest spin room possible. That's crazy. Trump is ending the forever war by getting us into another war. Are you serious?
Just the notion that they've been waging war on us since they did a revolution in their country in 1979. Yes. Like, I know it was a repudiation of the West, but like, why not start in 1953 when we literally couped their leader, their democratically elected leader? Like, you're just saying it there because, as if history started in 1979. Yeah. They were just like born hating us or something like that.
It's like, how can this work? Yeah. Like, how does this only works if you think that everyone in the Middle East is the same?
Yep.
Because we have not been at war with Iran like this entire time. Too.
Iran has never hit mainland United States,
and it's also like famously uninvadable.
Yes.
We were at war with Iraq. We were at war with Afghanistan. We were doing a bunch of bullshit. We were doing shit in Libya. We were doing shit in wherever. Like it's just none of this is the case, man. Yeah. And I don't know who is buying that bullshit.
Yeah, and respectfully, like, I'm not trying to diss on people that are from Iraq or from Afghanistan, but like, Iran's a real country. You know what I mean? Like, Iran is like,
in the sense of like who is and is not like a geopolitical power.
It's
like
90
a power on
million
like the
people.
Yeah, it's a huge, massive country. It's like the regional like cultural hegemon. Like that is a country right there.
Trump, our first Ottoman president, going to war with the Persians. So anyway, you might be asking, all right, what's the fucking plan? Like, okay, we've laid out all of the propaganda, we've disabused you of those notions, but like, what are they actually trying to accomplish here? And to me, first of all, I should say, they've laid out no actual objective.
Oh yeah.
Trump just says like, do a regime change.
Do a regime change.
That seems like the extent of the plan that they've articulated. But deeper, I think the plan, at least among some within the State Department apparatus, is to decimate Iran so brutally that it essentially turns into a failed state or balkanizes itself. Right, splits into several different states, because I don't see any other military objective than kill so many people that the regime can't support itself anymore.
Well, that's why I said earlier, like, I do think Trump's whole idea is just like, oh, we'll just bomb the shit out of them and then there'll be civil war and we'll win.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It does seem like they're adopting like the Gaza strategy.
He's constantly getting on Twitter and being like, Iranians, rise up. What?
Yeah. Like, they're not going to rise up just because you told them to.
Yeah.
Like, usually, again, like, this makes Iraq 2003 look like a fucking masterclass in foreign affairs. Like, we propped up an alternative regime. It didn't work. Like, we did the same shit in Afghanistan, right? Like, the Afghan government, it fell immediately to the Taliban, like, as soon as we left.
Immediately.
But, like, we had an idea. When we did regime change in the past with Mossadegh, right? Like, we installed the Shah, a guy who was already there. We worked with him on the back end to make sure he was ready to take over power. In this case, it's just like, we're going to kill the guy and you guys figure it out. And we're going to hope that you like turn into a country that's interested in helping us.
We got regime change at home.
Like, there's just no fucking plan whatsoever, man. It is quite astonishing. But yeah, if it does turn into like a failed state situation, again, that will kill probably millions of people. So
much carnage, so much death and destruction, man. That is not preferable to anyone in any way.
Yeah.
It's awful and fucking sucks.
It even makes like Libya look good. Like, Libya was a fucking catastrophe.
Yeah.
But like this, come on, there's just no plan.
No, there's no plan.
There's no plan. And I'll mention again, like, things might look okay right now, even though several U.S. soldiers have already died. But regime changes always look good on the first day, right? Like, it looked really good when Obama got Gaddafi and everybody was celebrating. It looked really good when we took out Saddam Hussein and they had very similar pictures of people, Iraqis, celebrating in the street that Saddam was gone. As you said before, what is difficult after is how we move on from there.
Yeah, it's so easy.
And we have not figured that out.
It is so easy to kill the guy everybody hates.
Yeah.
Like, that's the easiest part of any equation that this is a part of. But yeah, we haven't figured out any of the regime change. And there's like, the lesson that we would take from the previous failed regime changes is that we shouldn't do this.
Yeah, maybe not.
There's no piecemealing what happened in those ones to be like, I've crafted the perfect concoction that I need to, I figured out exactly what I need to do, this master plan to make Iran just a Western proxy, to make Iran Israel too.
Yeah. Like, JD Vance seems to be implying that like we've learned from the past, but if anything, it seems the opposite.
Yes.
It seems we've looked at what happened in the past and thought, let's just do it a little harder.
Yeah.
Like, those guys couldn't get it done because they didn't go hard enough.
Man, JD Vance doesn't get enough hate.
No,
like,
he
I know he's like nothing. I know the vice president is an inherently degrading job. Yeah. Because all you do is you go out there and you do fake speaking engagements and you get put in charge of fake things like the war on fraud, or you become the border czar or some other dumb shit that they put the vice president up to. But like, his vice presidentship specifically just feels like a humiliation ritual. The way that he has to go up there every single week and get asked questions by reporters, even Fox News reporters sometimes, about positions he held in the past that he's completely flip-flop on, and he just live, laughs, loves his way out of it. He just drops some Facebook fucking quote, he drops a platitude, and he pretends like, oh, it's just, it's crazy out there. I didn't know back then, but now I know, new information. I can't share any of that information you do that's new and changed my opinion, but life is crazy, and there's so many twists and turns, and here I am, and I'm happy, and this is the person I am today, and I'm grateful for who I was before, because everything that's happened to me has led me to who I am today.
His mom should have sold him for that program. His mom should have sold it. She could have saved all of us. Yeah, we get criticisms for talking about Gavin Newsom so early.
Yep.
But we also got to talk about JD Vance this early.
We also have to talk about JD Vance.
Can't not.
You cannot ever let the American people know that not only is this guy JD Vance contemptible.
Oh yeah.
But he is corny.
He's incredibly corny.
He's fucking lame.
Devious flip-flopper.
Yeah. He's lame. He's got no sauce, got no aura. Sometimes it just feels like all the news happens on Monday and Tuesday.
It's messed up.
But my favorite podcast drops episode on Wednesdays. I don't know what to do. It feels like they miss all of it.
That's a curse.
If only there was a platform that I could go to where I could listen to these episodes early, maybe when they record them. Do you have any thoughts?
Boy, do I have a solution for you.
Oh, do tell.
If you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod, you can listen to Head in the Office episodes before the curse of Monday and Tuesday news comes out.
Really? Do tell.
And you get access to commercial-free episodes. And everybody wants commercial-free episodes.
I bet there's also a whole host of other benefits and community engagement that they offer.
And friendship.
Very true.
Who doesn't want friendship?
The most important thing.
Absolutely.
In times like this.
Back to the episode. That finishes up our sort of coverage of Iran, the regime's response, and all the fucking bullshit that they're talking about. But we do have to talk about my favorite organization on the planet.
My Democrats,
man.
Democrats. Yeah, what would this show be if in the year of our Lord 2026 we didn't take time to see how my Democrats are responding to recent events?
It's easy to forget them, but my Democrats do exist.
Oh, it's incredibly easy to forget them.
It's so easy.
It doesn't seem like they're getting out there and doing anything. They're really not doing anything to get into my mind except for making awful dog shit statements all the fucking time, which this event, dear listener, is no exception.
Oh my God, dude. We got a cataclysmic amount of I'm monitoring the situation in Iran.
Oh yeah, and because I had to read it, I'm making you read it, and I will be reading out these things on the show. But in the absence of a war powers resolution vote at the time of this recording, all I have to look at right now to see what my Democrats think about the situation is the statements that they're releasing. And I got to say, shout out Hakeem Jeffries for delaying the war powers resolution to align with the HITO release schedule. It's happening Wednesday night or Thursday.
Feels intentional.
In
a bad way.
It sucks horribly that he delayed the vote. This shit should happen on Monday.
Okay, Democrats knew for months and months that Trump was planning strikes on Iran.
Yes.
It wasn't we knew that they were assembling the USS Jeffrey Epstein off the coast of Iran in the Persian Gulf or whatever the fuck. We knew that 40% of all U.S. air power was assembled in the Middle East, a type of thing that doesn't happen unless we're about to go to war, a type of thing that hadn't happened since 2003 Iraq or whatever. We knew this was coming. Why did Democrats not vote on a war powers resolution before?
No, literally.
Before, you knew what was about to happen. Why did we wait until we're already in the conflict?
You thought they just kept sending boats and aircraft carriers and planes and cargo there just cause?
Yeah.
You thought they were just doing that, right? We on the show, I am not a foreign policy expert.
No.
I just so happen to run the #1 geopolitics podcast, but I am not a foreign policy expert. I don't know shit about this. I wouldn't even necessarily call myself a great student of history. You know what I mean?
I just read AP News.
I just read the AP. I read CNN. Sometimes I read other outlets and I figure out what's going on. And the beauty of the Trump administration, at least from my perspective, is that I don't have to be a student of history to engage with the horrible things that he's doing.
Yeah.
Because they're doing it nakedly.
Plainly
they're doing
evil.
It shamelessly. They are just out there being evil and they're wearing their heart on their sleeve.
Yeah.
And I can point at that and I can say that that's bad. But the Democrats, my Democrats, are still operating as if these guys are stretching use of force authorizations from 20 years back to go and do things and shrining or hiding, shrouding their evil and complex legalese and these different justifications, but they're not.
No.
They're not. We don't live in that world anymore. Motherfuckers are just evil, dude.
Yeah.
It is crazy. So what are my Democrats saying about this?
Yeah, you really don't have to pretend this is Gaddafi again and maybe Obama's got a point. You don't got to act like that.
No.
There's no pretense that would make any of this acceptable.
Exactly.
We hit a school.
If we hit a school.
Come on,
we hit a school and there's no plan for what's going on and there's just every everything's awful and it's fucking bad, and we didn't learn the lessons of all the wars that were massively unpopular that we literally just got out of. Yeah. We dipped our foot out just to put it back into the Middle East. Everybody was happy when we took it out.
I think it was fucking Jared Golden, one of those like moderate Democrats who called the War Powers Resolution that was introduced before the war kicked off. He said something like, this is like a handout to the Ayatollah.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's my Democrat right there. Like, that is my Democrat.
Not going to war, like we have to go to war, otherwise it's like a handout or a gift to the Ayatollah. Are you kidding?
Wow.
Well, like, this isn't 2001 anymore, man. What the fuck are you doing? Like something like this support for this war hasn't breached like 25% support in like any poll. Nobody wants this. You don't got to pretend to be a war hawk right now. Nobody wants it.
There's nothing to even get people like angry. There was no 9/11.
No.
There was nothing that got people upset and made people feel scared. I guarantee you, regular people on the streets we're not thinking about Iran. Iran never crosses their fucking memory unless you're deranged, right? That's it. Unless you went to like George Washington for foreign policy and we're groomed to hate these people. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Regular people don't give a shit about this. Regular people do not want to see another war where Americans, outside of the countless Iranians that will die because of this, people in America don't want to see the American soldiers that will go and die because of this. Because regular people have pretty much woken up to the fact and understand the fact that, like, when we go to war, it is usually not for any good reason.
No.
It's because our like, the fucking wealthy elites just want to do another thing to get money, and they want to kill our sons and daughters to do it so that they can make themselves richer. It's what happens. That's what you got to contend with. You should like at least try to manufacture consent, but they're not doing that.
My Democrats, man.
Gotta go back to my Democrats, man, because I was particularly interested in the statements that like Alyssa Slotkin and Establishment 2028 hopefuls had to say, and I can't say I was surprised with almost any of it because most of the responses went something like, the Ayatollah is bad, Iran is bad, Iran can never have a nuke, and it's bad that Trump went to war with Iran because it was Trump.
Yeah, and he didn't ask.
And because he didn't ask me or Congress personally whether or not he could go to war. And also, I'm praying for the soldiers. And maybe we should debate this in Congress. That is pretty much how all these responses went. And I am going to do you the displeasure of reading them to you.
Oh, wait, you got to hear them, listeners.
You got to hear them, man, because this shit had me gobstopped at every point. We're going to start with Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's response. Some guy that's being hyped for 2028, a 2028 hopeful, and he's not shy about it.
A guy who wrote a book that we got to read at some point.
Yes, no, Patreons did vote it. We are going to read Josh Shapiro's book and review it. So treat this as like a little preamble, a little preview, a little hype reel to get you excited for what he has to write, because he wrote this too. He wrote this statement. This statement starts, in our democracy, the American people, through our elected representatives, decide when our nation goes to war. The framers of the U.S. Constitution, having just fought a war to win our nation's independence, recognized the grave consequences of going to war and vested that power in our representatives in Congress. Yet today, President Trump acted unilaterally, without congressional approval, and outside of the guardrails set up by our founders in Philadelphia nearly 250 years ago.
All right, cornball.
In going to war with Iran, the president has not adequately explained why the war is urgent now, what this military campaign may look like, or what the strategic objective is. Until a few days ago, he was seeking a deal to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, and that the president himself claimed just a few months ago was completely destroyed. But today, he declared that this is a war for regime change, something he said he would not pursue. Make no mistake, the Iranian regime represses its own people and is the leading state sponsor of terrorism around the world. They must never be allowed to possess a nuclear weapon. The regime and its proxies have killed American service members and innocent civilians, wreaked havoc around the globe, and pose a direct threat to global peace and stability. Bear with me, this keeps going.
Okay.
In recent weeks, tens of thousands of brave Iranians have died standing up to their freedoms against this cruel regime. The people of Iran deserve a government that gives voices to these hopes, respects their rights, and pursues their interests peacefully, not through violence or intimidation. President Trump and his administration have not demonstrated to the American people that we have a clear plan with this mission, and by taking unilateral action without a broad coalition of international partners, he is putting our brave service members at a greater risk and undermining our national security interests. Lori and I are praying for the women and men of the United States Armed Forces who are deployed in the region and around the world. They are the best of us. We have complete faith in their skills and professionalism, and they make up the most powerful military on earth. May God protect our troops. What in there, dear listener, that I made you listen to where is he condemning the war? If anything, this entire statement is just a justification for why the regime needed to be changed. At no point is he saying the war is fucking bad. He's just adopting the same talking points that Trump and the Republicans are using to say we should go to war with Iran.
It's literally the Onion headline. Like, he's saying, like, the American people deserve a president who can better justify war with Iran.
Yes, and that's what all of these statements are, man. It's absolutely fucking insane.
Also, the bit where he, like, condemns the Iranian regime and stuff, he's like, I don't think we should do a regime change war, but, like, low-key, the regime should change.
No, yes. And that is a theme that you are going to see throughout almost all of these statements, is these people say Trump shouldn't do a regime change war, but he's got a point, though.
Just like on immigration, man, when you affirm the premises but don't affirm the conclusion, you look like a weakling.
Yes.
Like, you can't affirm right-wing premises. You should be against these kinds of regime change wars because it always ends in death and destruction, and we don't actually end up fixing the regime.
And everything is just worse for all the people involved. Like, everywhere.
And then we create an entire generation of people who are even more committed to hating us and destroying us.
Yes. Oh my God, who would have thought? We make the country and the world less safe. Not only the country we invaded, but our country as well. Like, if blowback happens.
Like the phrase "death to America" specifically originated after the Islamic Revolution. Like, that's what they were chanting because it was in opposition to the coup that we waged.
Yes.
It didn't just, people love to treat it like this phrase "death to America" came out of like nowhere. Like they were born just hating America. They hate us for our freedom or whatever they used to say.
That is insane that's what they used to say.
But like they said that phrase, they said "death to America" because we'd never leave them alone, man, because we didn't give them the right to self-determination. The Iranians very much viewed life under the Shah as life under Western imperialism. And like, like, I can't say they were wrong, but it's a prime example of blowback, man. When we fuck with these other countries, when we subjugate them to our will, or I should say the will of Western capital, then of course they're going to hate us and they're going to build regimes that can militarily oppose us because we're a threat. They see us as a threat to their way of life. And that doesn't make the Iranian regime good. I want to make sure that I'm entirely clear. The Iranian regime, the Ayatollah, bad guy, right? Iranian regime, incredibly repressive, but we can't separate the nature of the Iranian regime from what we have made them into. And to the extent that we can control what happens in that region, we can control our actions, and we shouldn't be just like relentlessly killing people and involving ourselves in the Middle East on these crusades that don't actually make the region any better and don't make us any safer.
Yeah, no, we're just getting fucking hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people killed across the region, across the last fucking 3 decades or however long we've been over there. We're getting American kids killed. We're getting American people killed, American citizens. We're getting Iranians killed. We're getting Afghanis killed. We're getting fucking Iraqis killed. We're getting everybody fucking killed because of some death spiral that we got set on fucking 50 years ago or whatever. That's just like, it's just not gonna work by doing the same old shit over and over again. But that's Josh Shapiro's statement.
Yes.
Guys, I'm talking about my Democrats, plural, not just my Democrat, Josh Shapiro, although he is one. He's in contention for my Democrat. Next, I want to play you a clip from Mark Kelly. I believe this was yesterday or on Saturday. Yeah, it was yesterday.
On the talk shows,
on the talk shows, on the Sunday shows, which he has since walked back that we were talking about earlier. But the fact that his knee-jerk reaction was to say this is alarming. So I'm going to play you the clip now.
There is a war powers vote, Senator. Will you be a yes?
Well, I'm going to have to take a close look at it. I want to hear from the White House what their strategy is going forward. I would say at this point it's rather unlikely that it would be. You know, they went into this
leaving the door open
without any discussion with us ahead of time.
He didn't ask me.
God damn it, dude.
That's fucking insane.
It's always like, you guys left me out. You didn't ask me my opinion. Brother, your opinion is just, go to war.
I want to be a part of the invasion. I want to put my name down saying that I wanted to kill all these fucking people over there.
It's like,
in this case, I wanted to kill these Muslims, which is what these people are thinking.
It feels like a lot of Democrats genuinely think that it's still 2002.
Yeah.
Like that you still have to do this war hawk thing or you're going to lose in the midterms, man. Nobody wants to go to war.
Yes.
No American wants to do it, especially another war in the Middle East where we send like $1 trillion down the drain and get like thousands of people killed. People don't want it anymore. Yeah. You don't have to act like this. It's like it's in these people's fucking blood to do this.
And this whole fucking, I can't believe he goes out there and he says, I want to hear what Trump has to say about this.
Yeah.
What could Trump say about this that would make the situation any fucking better?
He put out a video.
Why would you believe Donald Trump? And that's the other thing. He's told you. Yeah. This administration, whether they want to or not, is kind of the most transparent administration ever. Whether it be because of leaks or whether it be because of how much Trump just gets out and he's like, we're doing regime change.
Yeah.
He said what he wants to do, dude. We know exactly what he wants to do. We know the justifications that they're providing. We know what they're doing to try and dodge the only covering up they're doing is of the previous positions that they held when Democrats were in power. Yeah. That's it, dude. They're telling us what's going on. They're telling us they just want to fucking kill these people.
And it's the same thing with Hamas, right? Like all of our discussions around October 7th and Hamas and like the genocide in Gaza, so many people revolved around this idea of like, oh, do you condemn Hamas? Oh, but Hamas is bad. Oh, but Hamas is anti-Semitic. And it just like it's not really a part of the conversation when Israel, funded by the United States, is the one conducting a genocide.
Yes.
Like it just, and again, like the Iranian regime bad, I condemn Hamas, fucking whatever. But what we're talking about is the actions of my country and what fallout we can expect from those actions.
Yes.
And when we're doing another regime change war when these haven't worked in the past, I'm going to say that's bad, irrespective of who we're doing it to.
100%, dude. And you should be a 100% no questions asked, no pauses needed.
Exactly. But this was after we hit the school and he knew about that.
Yeah.
Like, this was the day after we had bombed the girls' school and killed like 100 children. And he was like, yeah, well, I might still be okay with war. And this is a yes on a war powers resolution.
Yeah.
The war powers resolution just requires the president and his people to come to Congress to explain it, and then Congress can vote on various like acts of war.
Well, then Trump will just do it anyway.
Simply voting for the war powers resolution doesn't immediately stop what they're doing. It just reclaims the power for Congress.
Like, why are these people itching to put their name on yet another foreign war in the Middle East?
Yeah.
They're itching to be like, yes, these people are fucking bloodthirsty, man.
Nobody that has supported any of the wars in the Middle East for the past few decades has ever been vindicated for that decision.
And keep in mind, do not forget this video, because Mark Kelly has dipped his toes in a run for 2028.
Yeah,
he has come out publicly and he said months ago, I think like 2 months ago at this point, that he's considering running.
Yeah.
This guy wants to be the president. And he's out there with just a complete lack of any moral clarity when it comes to war. When it comes to war with U.S. troops involved in possible boots on the ground operations in the coming weeks. What the fuck are we talking about?
I will not be voting for any Democrat that is like even toys with the idea of going to war with Iran or any other country in the Middle East, man.
These people need to be laughed out of politics.
Yeah.
These people shouldn't have power, man. It's fucking crazy. But next, I want to go to my Democrat specifically, Alyssa Slotkin. She unfortunately represents me, senator from Michigan, and we shat on her last episode, and she deserves to be shit on again this episode, because last episode it was about an interview she did like on the Thursday or the Wednesday after the State of the Union. This time it's a statement that she made, once again, all these my Democrat statements about Iran. And this is another long one, so bear with me. Americans woke up this morning to news that the U.S. and Israel have started major military action against Iran. Unlike the U.S. strike on Iran back in June, this operation doesn't appear to be a one and done, so we're thinking about the safety of our service members and their families. Likewise, many Michiganders have family in the Middle East who are at risk right now as Iran is striking a number of countries. We pray for their safety as well. As a former CIA officer who served 3 tours in Iraq, I have no love lost for the Iranian government. They're a state sponsor of terror responsible for the deaths of Americans. I saw it up close in Iraq and elsewhere. But issues of war and peace should be treated with the utmost consequence, and President Trump hasn't made his case to the American people. He hasn't laid out the goals or the imminent threat posed by Iran that justifies risking a wider regional war, and he hasn't followed the Constitution and brought the issue before Congress before committing our nation to war. Most elected leaders, including President Trump himself, have condemned the rush to war without clear goals in the past. He owes the American people the same thing he was demanding of previous presidents if he's going to put lives at risk. And Congress should come back to Washington to debate these issues.
God, dude, I hate these people.
Oh my God, dude. Congress should come back and debate the issue. There's no debate. I'm telling you right now, there is no debate when it comes to whether or not we should go to war with Iran. Dude. The clear answer is no. There's nothing. There is damn near nothing that Donald Trump could say to make anyone like that's normal and not bloodthirsty think that this could be a good idea. Dude. And it's that last paragraph, it's the I'm a CIA agent, and that last paragraph specifically that just reinforces how contemptible I think Alyssa Slotkin is, man.
I loved the framing around, like, I saw it firsthand, like Iranian proxies while I was in Iraq with the CIA. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have been there. Like, again, not saying what Iran does is good, but like, do we not see that we have bases around the world and maybe we shouldn't be doing this kind of shit?
Yes.
Like, I don't know, man.
No, it's all
maybe like a fucking hot take. What if we like respected sovereignty?
What if we did?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it could work out.
Maybe we shouldn't have been meddling in the affairs of various countries throughout the entire world for decades at this point, and this shit wouldn't happen.
Yes.
Whatever.
And it's just, and so that's Alyssa Slotkin. That's horrible already. Now I want to get you Gavin Newsom's statement.
Oh, gruesome
Newsom's been in discourse recently. He's been in Democrat leftist infighting, and he's been in Republican discourse, and he's just right now the front runner for who may be, unfortunately, my president.
Republican candidate in the Democratic Party.
Republican candidate Gavin Newsom made a statement on Iran, and it goes as follows. This one is much shorter and was on Twitter. Gavin Newsom said, quote, "The corrupt and repressive Iranian regime must never have nuclear weapons. The leadership of Iran must go, but that does not justify the President of the United States engaging in an illegal, dangerous war that will risk the lives of our American service members and our friends without justification to the American people. President Trump is putting Americans at risk abroad because he is unpopular at home." Why are we going out here and again adopting this framing?
Yeah.
If I do believe this, that like Iran can't have nukes, which I don't want anyone to have nukes, you know what I'm saying? But like if I accept this, Iran can't have nukes, Iran must not have nukes, and the Iranian regime must go. And I'm looking at the news and I'm seeing that negotiations aren't working, at least ostensibly. Why would I not go to war then? Are we not just justifying the idea that we should do this? We should do regime change when all of these people are coming out and saying the regime's got to change. Yeah, just not like this.
One of the faulty pretexts for this war is that Iran was like 30 seconds from getting a nuke. Yeah. And the administration has provided no evidence that they were actually building a nuke. They just said it. They've just been asserting it. And Iran, at the negotiations, all reports suggest that they were working towards a deal on the nuclear issue. And still we're going to war with them. So yeah, why are we adopting the framing that like, oh, a nuke was imminent or something? Yeah. It just justifies war.
Exactly. No, 100%. Like all of these statements are just passively justifying war, particularly Josh Shapiro and Gavin Newsom's. Yeah. When you're spending all this time saying Iran is bad, which yes, Iran is bad. Yes, all that shit sucks. The regime sucks. The blah blah blah. Like whatever. It all sucks.
Russia's bad. China's bad. We're not going to war with them. They have nukes. Like,
exactly.
Like it just. We are not a reason
doing invasions. We are not committing American service members to die. We are not committing civilians of those countries to die. Yeah. It's what it is.
And once again, I'll remind you, like, we don't care about regimes being bad. Trump fucks with Saudi Arabia. Joe Biden fucked with Saudi Arabia. Democrats and Republicans are aligned so much on foreign policy.
Trump fucks with Turkey.
Yeah, Trump fucks with Turkey big time.
Viktor Orban.
Trump fucks, what's the, Hungary too.
Hungary, that's the one I meant, not Turkey, Hungary.
Erdogan is a much better.
Yeah,
Turkey, you know what I mean?
True.
But like, yeah, no, Trump,
but I was thinking of Viktor.
Trump and the United States broadly has been allied with countries that do fucking horrendous things.
Yes.
I mean, all the coups we did in Latin America where we're just backing literal fascists.
Yeah.
Like we don't care about human rights abuses. We don't care about if a country's actually a liberal democracy or not. We don't care about any of that shit, man. What we care about is the free flow of capital and resources.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Getting filthy fucking rich. That's what I love.
That is all the United States cares about. So like this pretext that any of this is about helping the people that live under this cruel regime is nonsense.
Yes.
And no Democrat should be falling for it, man. It's plain as day.
And it just goes out there and it just continues to reaffirm this idea that, maybe this was fine then.
Yeah.
Because, they can't have nukes. They weren't negotiating. If I believe that they weren't negotiating, if I believe that none of this was happening in good faith, why would I not also think like, yeah, I guess we can go to war. Yeah. The only thing stopping you from getting that conclusion is the idea that we should commit Americans to die because I know Americans are not thinking about the Iranians that are dying and all this. It's fucked up. But to my surprise, I think everybody's surprised.
Oh yeah, this one was shocking.
This one was shocking. Kamala Harris, one of my Democrats, got out here and she actually was like the only establishment Democrat that I saw that actually had a good statement, or at least a bare minimum statement. I was shocked.
I'll give props to Kamala Harris when she earns it,
100%.
I know she's a chronic flip-flopper, but when she flips to my side,
it's good.
It's good,
exactly. And I like it. And when she flips to my side and doesn't like only tacitly do it and then walk it back like 2 seconds later, then it's like cool. Yeah. So maybe Kamala Harris above Gavin Newsom when it comes to the only people we can talk about in the 2028 primary right now. But I'm gonna read you her statement too, because this is just the bare minimum for what Democrats across the board should be doing, especially the ones that are elected and that are in power right now.
Yeah.
I know Gavin Newsom and Josh Shapiro can't like literally do anything to stop war with Iran,
but they're contenders. So
they're contenders. That's why they're important. But like Mark Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin, you two better vote yes on the war powers resolution.
You're about to get an opportunity to vote on that probably if it makes it to the Senate.
And you better put your name on the right side of history. Like, that's what it is. But this is Kamala Harris's statement. Donald Trump is dragging the United States into a war the American people do not want. Already banger.
Yeah.
Why are we not starting every statement like that? Let me be clear. I'm opposed to a regime change war in Iran, and our troops are being put in harm's way for the sake of Trump's war of choice. This is a dangerous and unnecessary gamble with American lives that also jeopardizes stability in the region and our standing in the world. What we are witnessing is not strength. It is recklessness dressed up as resolve. I know the threat that Iran poses, okay, and they must never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, but this is not the way to dismantle that threat. During the campaign, Donald Trump promised to end wars rather than start them. It was a lie. Then last year, he said we obliterated Iran's nuclear program. That, too, was a lie. And let us be clear-eyed about what comes next. The president has already said this conflict may produce American casualties. Doug and I will be praying for all our brave servicemen and women who we know are undertaking dangerous missions with exceptional skill, discipline, and precision. Our troops deserve a commander. Liberal. Our troops deserve, Our troops deserve a commander-in-chief who approaches decisions on matters of war and peace with the same steadiness and discipline our troops show every day. Under the Constitution of the United States, the president must receive authorization from Congress to enter a war. But even if he had, that does not change the fact that this action is unwise, unjustified, and not supported by the American people. There can be no equivocation in our opposition to Donald Trump's war of choice, and Congress must use all available power to prevent him from further committing us to this conflict. Our troops are allies, and the American people deserve nothing else. Bangers to start and end. The regular liberal statement in the middle there, but I was
gonna say, you gotta let her get the war hawk out.
You gotta let her give our troops, which I don't want anybody to die in any of this, you know what I mean? Like, sure, whatever, I can forgive that when you actually come out clear-eyed and say this is bad. And it's insane to me that it was only Kamala Harris doing this.
No, literally, like Kamala Harris on the campaign trail said her closing argument was essentially Iran is the biggest threat to the United States. She was asked, I don't know if you remember this, she was asked, I don't know if it was like 60 Minutes or Town Hall or something, she was asked who the biggest adversary to the U.S. is in the world. She said Iran. And then she said at the very end of the campaign that she wanted the most lethal military in the world. She's the one outflanking all the Democrats in power to the left.
Insane, dude.
I mean, I guess it's like a sort of like easy for her to say situation because there's no like responsibility of using power responsibly here. But like, goddamn, man.
No, goddamn.
I'll take it when it happens.
Fucking critical support to Kamala Harris, man. Maybe I'm back in the K-Hive.
Well, don't go that far.
Hold on a minute. Let's not do all that. But like, I read all these statements, right, to say that it's just like, why can't a majority of Democrats just come out and say that war is bad?
Oh yeah, man. The anti-war lane is wide open for anybody. I can't even say anyone brave enough to take it because it's not bravery. Anybody that's just smart enough to take
common sense enough to take it.
Yeah.
It's right once there. Again, Trump was allowed to run on being this peaceful dove because this is how Democrats talk. This is how they go out here and say shit, dude. It's fucking insane to me. And I do some thinking and I think about the Democrats and their position in broader political rhetoric. And I realize that like trans issues could poll 49-51 against, and Democrats would spend millions of dollars and weeks of time trying to convince us that we need to abandon trans people as a class of people in general. But war could poll at 0%, and you would still have Democrats running around trying to tell me that I need to listen to their bullshit foot in, foot out, half yes, half no justifications for why we should do war in the Middle East. It's insane.
And like 0% is not much of an exaggeration. The lowest number I saw was 5.
Oh my God, yeah.
5% support for this war. The range was like 5 to 27% support for this war in a variety of polls asking about Iran. So like, it is incredible how Democrats like forget how to read polling data when it doesn't confirm their priors.
Well, exactly. 100%. When it's not abandoning a marginalized group, they just completely forget to consult with their constituents. Anytime it's a matter of like going to war and fucking killing people and doing death and destruction and murder and mayhem and bedlam, they can, yes.
When the polling doesn't tell them to go to war or abandon trans people or cut taxes on the rich, then they just suddenly can't read the poll anymore.
Exactly. No, dude, it's fucking ridiculous too.
Or fund the police. That's another one.
Yes. And this whole thing's got me also thinking, like, I usually am not a big fan of this kind of rhetoric. Like, MAGA was right. But honestly, when I look at statements like those from Alyssa Slotkin and Mark Kelly and Josh Shapiro and Gavin Newsom, and it makes me think that maybe Trump derangement syndrome is real. I get it now because it seems like a lot of these establishment Democrats just have it. What is different between what Josh Shapiro said? What is different between what Gavin Newsom said when he said Iran can't have a nuke, Iran's regime must change, but not this way, than what Trump is saying?
Yeah.
The only difference here is that these Democrats are coming out and saying this is cool, except when Trump does it. I mean, like, maybe I'm not being charitable here. Maybe that's a little too far, but does that not feel like what's going on here? Do these statements not feel like admissions that this is a good thing, but it's only bad because it's Trump?
Well, I think it's just like the Onion headline I brought up earlier. Like, Democrats want war with Iran. They just want it to be a little bit more buttoned up. They want somebody that can offer justifications and rhetoric for it in a more professional kind of way, in a more civil kind of way, rather than Trump just saying like, yeah, we're doing a regime change war.
And it's like these Democrats, they're coming out here and they're condemning Trump, and they're condemning the way that Trump has conducted this war, and not the war in of itself. Yeah. Because it is just the fact that we are at war with Iran right now because Donald Trump dragged us in there. Yep. Both of those things are contemptible, but you have to condemn both, right? You have to condemn both. You can't just condemn Trump's actions and not say that the war is just bad on its face. Because at that point, it is Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, so few Democrats are like rejecting war with Iran on the merits of the issue, on the substance of the issue. They're just rejecting it procedurally, right? Trump didn't go through the correct channels. He didn't ask for an AUMF. He didn't give me a classified briefing that I can go sort of like leak to the press a little bit. All he did was say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I don't care what Congress says. Yeah. And like, they're not even going to do anything about that, quite frankly. Like, it's not even, we don't even know if like the Democratic Party can hold its coalition together just to vote on a war powers resolution that says, hey, you have to ask us first.
We know that Hakeem Jeffries is not whipping votes. He's not whipping in the House. Yeah. Hakeem Jeffries is not whipping votes. You can go, there's going to be an interview that drops probably tomorrow or Tuesday, yesterday, by the time this goes up to the general public, with Rashida Tlaib on Distill Social's Point of Disorder page, where Hakeem Jeffries isn't whipping votes. Yeah. It's not, these Democrats do not want to unify against war. Yeah. It's fucking insane, dude. It's crazy, actually goddamn deranged. And I can't stand it. And again, they just, I think they just don't like it because Trump's not being elegant about it. Yeah. Trump's not doing the fucking legalese bullshit justifications that everyone else has done to get us in another endless entanglement in the Middle East. And like, I really don't want Alex Jones to have been right when he said we're run by pedophile Satan worshipers, but that's what it fucking feels like, man. Yeah. When every time I open the news, it's either, oh, a new pedophile dropped in the Epstein files, or the Epstein files are just the Trump files with how many times his name's in them, or Democrats love war. What am I supposed to think except, oh my God, the government is run by pedophiles and people who love death and destruction across the world?
I mean, Alex Jones was right that like pedophiles are carving up the world for themselves. It just happened to be that it was all the dudes he fucks with.
Type shit, yeah, exactly.
all the dudes he fucks with in support, and now he's completely silent about it all. And now we're waging a war literally so those dudes can just like have more land and carve up. I mean, like it's everything, man. Yeah, it's everything, and that just sucks.
No, it sucks, and it will never not be insane to me that these people, except for Kamala Harris, shouts out her, aren't going out and saying Americans don't want war. They're saying, oh, Americans could want war if you explained it a little better. What am I supposed to do with this, man? Again, where's the anti-war lane? Yeah, I don't like carnage and death and destruction, God, man. I don't like it at all.
Imagine if Democrats were like, war is bad, and I'm not going to support it.
Wouldn't that be a world?
That would be crazy.
Oh my God,
like man. we need a diplomatic solution to these issues. Like Iran was literally at the negotiating table as we fucking broke it in half.
An explicit departure from the reality we live in. Yep. If they went out here and did this. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing who goes out there and puts their name for war with Iran when it comes to this war powers resolution, because man, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, this is a vote for this is like 2002 AUMF for Iraq, right? Like this is one of those votes that people are going to look at for quite a long time and say, wow, these are the people that sent us to war. Or at least I guess in this case it's more so these are the people that refuse to do anything about it. Yeah, because that's sort of the situation we've been put in. I do think a lot of Democrats, for whatever reason, whether it's like weapons manufacturing lobbying or defense contractors lobbying or AIPAC lobbying or whatever it is, a lot of these Democrats, because of their donors, are just cool with it.
Oh, 100%, yeah. No,
like,
that's it.
I think Chuck Schumer's like low-key happy.
And it's like, we're going to post a clip about this. We're going to post a clip somewhere, and the comments are going to be flooded with liberals derogatory saying like, oh, what do you expect Democrats to do right now? They don't have power. The power that Democrats have is rhetorical right now. The power that Democrats have is to go on the news and go and convince people that what's happening is bad. Yeah. And they're just not doing that.
No, not like, even a little, man. They're toying with the idea of supporting it, actually.
They're toying with the idea, man. They're toe in, toe out. They're testing the waters for how much they can get away with being pro-war.
It's crazy to me that someone like Slotkin can say like, oh yeah, I was in Iraq when in 2003 with the CIA, like I know what this is like. Then you should be against it.
Exactly.
Like you were there. You were contributing to the problem. You of all people should know.
I did 3 tours in Iraq and I witnessed the horrors that happened partly because of the actions that we had engaged in the past.
Here we go again.
We shouldn't be doing this again. But she's like, yeah, I get it, I guess.
Yeah, there's like a huge lane for somebody who's been in the military or has been in intelligence to be like, yeah, this shit sucks. I know firsthand. Fucking John Carrick out type shit. But no.
You know, maybe critical support to, what was it, like Pete Hegseth or whoever, for launching that investigation against Mark Kelly. Maybe we should lock his ass up. If this is the shit he's going to go on the news and say, maybe I will turn a blind eye to that one abuse of power.
Pete Hegseth, lock him up, please. My life is yours.
My life is yours. Man, fuck. Oh my God, we forgot to touch on the fact that this is called Operation Epic Fury.
Yeah, Operation Ligma Chungus. Yep.
Pete Hegseth named that. And you know he thinks he is so cool for doing that. And you know that Pete Hegseth is just hard as a rock right now.
Isn't the purpose of like these Operation code names supposed to be that like they're banal and secretive? Like Operation Paperclip, Operation Menu. You don't know what the fuck that's referring to. But now we have Operation Epic Fury.
Operation Epic Fury. Honestly, I'd even take the on the nose Operation Desert Storm instead of Epic Fury. What the fuck are we talking about, dude? What fucking loser came up with that?
Fucking Operation Jeffrey Epstein. What the fuck, man?
I saw somebody say, you know, Elon Musk could have came up with this, and it's like, yeah,
he might have.
He might have.
They might have just put it into Chat GPT and said, I need a code name.
Give me a cool name for war that we can do, dude. I'm so sick of being run by children.
I saw Ben Shapiro was like gassing up the code name for this Iran war.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude. He was like, Operation Epic Fury. All the code names are so awesome for this administration.
That is the lamest position you could come out with, man. Holy shit. That's lamer than JD Vance.
Yeah, lamer than Kash Patel.
Lamer than Kash Patel, man. Oh, God.
It's corny. It's too corny.
Yeah, too corny. That's fucked up. I think that wraps it up for me, at least. Did you have anything else?
No, I think that's it on Iran, man. It's fucking, it's bad.
For the first 2 days of Iran.
Yeah, we'll see what else happens.
Recording. We'll see what happens between the infinite time between the Patreon release and what comes out on Wednesday.
Yeah, something could have happened while we were recording that we missed.
True.
Who fucking knows, man? But anyways, that wraps up War with Iran. Try not to get drafted, folks.
Try not to get drafted.
You know, I'm not going to say the felon
I know it.
I'm going to hold back the felon thing.
I'm on the same wavelength.
Just know there's a number of reasons why there's a number of reasons that might prevent the military from drafting you.
Yes.
Look it up.
Look it up.
I'm not encouraging anything, but look it up. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode. It is time to read the rest of our Spotify reviews.
Since they're the only people that fuck with us.
Yeah, no, I think the Apple listeners might have got sent overseas. That's the only explanation.
That's true.
For what happened. This next review from KR Flynn 15, 5 out of 5 strongly worded letters from my Democrats.
Yes.
Thank you, and we just read some of those. Thank you, Quirked Up White Boys, for being both hilarious and having common sense. I feel like I'm in an episode of The Twilight Zone every time I see any sort of news.
I think it's just distinctly worse than The Twilight Zone. I think everything is just
it's just hell.
I think it's
are Dante's
in
hell. Inferno.
You know, we talked, was it last episode or the episode before, about that one like former like UN or whatever guy, the fucking commander of some big army or joint whatever armies, was like, we're in Dante's Inferno? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I also agree with that. We are in Dante's Inferno. This next review from Tony Madoska, 5 out of 5 forever wars in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Major love to these two quirked up white boys and their ability to hold every politician accountable for the fuckery that continues to plague this war-hungry country. I, who condemn Hamas and all political violence, didn't realize how I needed this podcast how I needed this podcast bleach injected into my veins.
Wow.
One request is to throw shade at RFK and Dr. Oz. I'm a PT in Wisconsin and see the diabolical things that private health insurance and decisions our government has made affects many people. Number one, RFK Jr. hater on this podcast. Here. Number one, RFK Jr. hater. That guy said, we did a whole episode about like RFK after the, what's it called? Shooting happened. The shooting at the, what's the health place?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. In Georgia, right? The CDC?
The CDC? I think it was the shooting at the CDC building, and how RFK is also just like one of the most evil guys in the administration and one of the few figures that is actually positioned to do real harm. Yeah.
And his worst offense, he works out in jeans.
Exactly.
That should not be allowed.
That's fucking crazy.
Just to hide the fact that he never hits legs, man. It's crazy.
You see that leg press video?
Oh, yeah.
The fucking zero
the
range of motion. Yeah, exactly. Insane work here.
Stupid shit. Next one from Spencer, 5 out of 5 stars. I've been listening to the pod for a few months now and have been loving it. I'm not normally a podcast guy, but this show helps me feel like I'm not going crazy.
Let's go.
Especially since my family and coworkers have some absolutely horrid takes on current events being in a white suburban hellscape. Gotta hate those suburban Hitlerites, man. Lastly, I condemn Hamas and all forms of political violence. Keep up the great work.
This next one from Jagsdoes21, 5 out of 5 foreign figureheads removed from power by the quote unquote white dove. Shout out to the realest Midwest white boys to touch podcast equipment.
Wow.
They make me feel sane as I work my blue collar flooring job with MAGA hat owning coworkers in deep red Amish country, Ohio. As a condemner of all forms of political violence, I'm thankful I subscribe to the Patreon so I don't miss out on learning all things Iranian war from my favorite tertiary news source.
So true. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This next one, and I believe last one from Cosmonaut Connor, 365 out of 5 stars. This podcast helps keep me sane. Thank you, boys, for doing your work. I will soon upgrade my Patreon subscription to a more powerful tier. Perhaps a devil's bargain can be struck.
Oh my.
You can get a house in cash and we get 3 episodes a week.
Man, if everyone upgraded their tier to buy a house in cash, you could get 3 episodes
We could do anything.
We could take over the world. $1 trillion HITO budget.
We could buy a spot on the board of peace, maybe.
True. Maybe we could stop the war.
Oh, yeah. If you guys all
it is
upgrade.
morally imperative that you get us a spot on the war of peace so we can stop the war. I only need $1 billion.
P.S. I made a review a while ago and said Graham's number. Graham's number is the largest conceivable number in the universe. If it were to be manifested or wrote out, it would destroy the universe from its sheer scale. Okay?
Nice. Democrats approve a rating negative Graham's number.
P.S. I condemn political violence. Nice.
Classic slate of HITO reviews right there, man. Fucking shouts out. But it's time to give a special thanks to the people that got us to bi-weekly HITO episodes.
It's true. It's true.
Our wonderful, beautiful patrons over on patreon.com/head in the office. If you're listening this far, you know you want to hear your name read on this. You know you yearn to hear your name read by most likely Jeremy for a while, and then you'll get to me.
Yeah, God willing.
God willing.
You'll get to him eventually.
You'll get to the spot on the list. That's my first half. So I got to give a special thanks to Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Chaplinsky, Clayton Lefebvre, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari, Fergalaki, Max Vasquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Newberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Big Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cuts, Jennifer DeVoe, Craw Fishin, Bennett Bennington III, I cannot speak today, wow. Alexi Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Malnodi, Ted Cruz Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Carker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, the Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron and his Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Taylor for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mondo, Veronica, aka V, Raxon, Ass Smith, the Grotler, Murder in a Trench Coat, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Ghana, Guana, Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, wow. Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Anna Flynn, KCC, Sayesta West, August, Particular Pigment, Sir Caplot, Jeff Sines, Brendan is Egg, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Chris Tika, Sean Lala, Amanda R, Tyler J, Particulon, Memfrez, Rhonda Soletto, Midwest Marks, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stat Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, New Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly,
Goldthorn, Eddie Book, Merlin, Cryo Bonky, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Majawat, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6-inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Craggle, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark61, Casey, Cannon Man, Troy H, Rock Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nick, Sound Logic, Sleven, I Have Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, Maple Big Dog, CIA Small Creators Fun, Taylor from Burntdown, Minneapolis, Northeast Nick, Aya, Retired AF and SC, Wilford G, Gayest Worm, Niles Chamberlain, Sugar Free Baja Blast, Kristen the Leftist Nurse, Fake Airplane, TJ Loves Colleen, Mothman's Gay Lover, Real Jesus Christ, Queerla, Carter Gethin, Blulu 92, 1000 Miniature Horses, Will Grant, Gay for Jeremy, Hail Libertas, Walter
Walter von der Vogelweide,
yeah,
I think.
Rad Dene, Captain Butt Pete, Cam Toki, Chef Sam, Mexplique, Mealy Ducard, Call Me Bubba the Way I Receive Hitto, Gina, a platypus named Icarus, K Boob, Randall What, Popo, Dilly, Quasi Pox, Jeremy the Killer, Faded Weapon, and My Mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon and helping us get through wartime.
Yeah, no, this is now a war. We're war journalists, guys. this is now number one war podcast. We're war correspondents here to cover the war, and it's sucks.
Yeah, no, we got bored of peace, so here we are.
There we are. Fuck. And have a great first half of your week, man.
See you next time.